Cryptos continue to get crushed, not only crushed against their USD value, but crushed against their Bitcoin value. So we have the tale of two different markets going on at the moment. Bitcoin on the bullish side, cryptocurrencies or altcoins on the bearish side. Let's take a look at that in the charts today, looking at the facts given to us by the market participants, what they are actually doing with their money. Not the stories from Twitter, not the stories from the media, not the stories from YouTube, but what is actually happening in the markets. And we'll assess it the best way we know how, with our technical analysis. Make sure you have liked and subscribed to the channel. Also, this is the last day for the limited time offer here, $230 of free USDT with ByBit and Bitget. No trading required, so you can keep your pants on. You don't need to get into that leverage stuff just yet. All right, guys, so tale of two markets. We have the bullish side of BTC, which is crossed above the double top. We've talked about this for quite some time. And we have the bearishness of the total cryptocurrency market cap. We have this downward sloping move, the lower highs and the lower lows. So you can see that this market is struggling to break out of those resistance levels. Unlike what BTC has done, BTC has been able to break through those levels. So we're really seeing the strength to one asset compared to the others. Now, of course, along with our other macro data where we're looking at stock markets and real estate cycles and economic cycles, where we're seeing these as an area where they're flipping from the bears to the bulls. In cryptocurrency, we're still seeing it as an area that is losing momentum for now. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel, because at the end of the day, eventually time runs out and we start to see an upside move. So I want to look at that in the charts in just a moment. But to give a recap from that previous video just about a week ago that we did on the channel, looking specifically at altcoins and the breakdown, which has actually now occurred. And seeing as these breakdowns have occurred, I think it's a good time to update this so that we can get an idea of how much longer can we expect to be waiting for altcoins to pick up in momentum. It takes quite a long time if you're looking for those longer swings. Nonetheless, let's keep going with the data here. So BTC getting rejected at the moment at these levels of around 31K. Testing the lower levels at 25, 26, and then back into the trading range. Nothing new has changed there. From the last week, it was still sitting a little higher up, but this is where we currently sit now at 27K. So what does this look like with our Wall Street cheat sheet? Well, again, it's only been a couple of weeks. Not much has changed in this regard. It still looks like we're sitting at the disbelief, much to the disbelief of those who believe we're in this anger stage and looking for lower prices. We've broken past this upper level and now continue to sit just in this zone, buying time until we get that next move to the upside. Now, of course, that's my bias based on the analysis here, and I want to show you how I've got to that point. So BTC still in this Wall Street cheat sheet, looking all right. Of course, the momentum has been lost and people are sort of just waiting to see what happens next. With the Bitcoin dominance, it seems like the momentum is still trying to holding up higher in the range here between 46 and around 49%. The last couple of times we've been waiting for this thing to break out, and so far nothing has really happened. So we're still just waiting to see what the next signals are. The good news for the Bitcoin bulls is that we've got higher lows and the tops are still holding out for now. So the higher lows is the important thing here. If we start to see a breakdown of around 46%, then probably going to be a lot longer until we see a bleed out or a further bleed out of altcoins back into the BTC value. This could be what the market is waiting for. And if that's the case, then we'll start to see the market rise. Basically, if this goes up, then that would mean that altcoins are losing value to BTC, so they're slowing down at the rate of their increase and more money is flowing from altcoins into Bitcoin. It could also mean that Ethereum is losing ground as well, also losing its Bitcoin value to Bitcoin. And thirdly, it can mean that stable coins are dropping in their market caps and more of that potentially is flowing into Bitcoin. They're the three things we need to see for the Bitcoin dominance to rise. So that could just mean that Bitcoin price remains steady and everything else starts to fall from that point. But of course, it could also mean Bitcoin goes up. So there's your up, down, sideways scenario. Nonetheless, If dominance goes up, that means the rest of the market is starting to struggle. So you'll definitely see the rest of the market start to fall against the Bitcoin rises. For now, it's still a matter of a waiting game. We're just waiting to see what happens here. The main thing that the Bitcoin bulls don't want to see is a breakdown of these lows for now, just for now. So around that 42 or so percent. And that's where the market started to find some support above that previous trading zone, basically the trading zone where the 2022 cycle low was formed. So that's the story for now for the Bitcoin dominance. To the upside, we get a move on for BTC and a further drop in the altcoin dominance, which is what we're looking at here with the breakdown of some altcoins past their significant supports. So with the total cryptocurrency market cap, this has also continued to slide. We were looking at a Wyckoff accumulation, but I didn't see it as a likely scenario that we're going to break out to the upside. We still had plenty of resistance overhead. I'm not even sure if this is phase D. It's possibly more likely that these phases are going to shift to the right, and it's going to take a little more time to play out. Speaking of time, the previous cycle took about 101 weeks, so basically 2 years to go from its low to the really big breakout. This is your phase D breakout, and then the market breaking out again, testing, and away you go. So if we're counting forward 2 years from the cycle low, and that's if this is the cycle low here in December of 2022, we know Bitcoin bottomed in November. So you got the November 7th and November 21st. That's where Bitcoin bottomed. But if we take it from the December low where the altcoin market has so far bottomed, remember, not confirmed yet, that 2 years out takes us to the end of 2024. Considering we're only in the middle of 2023, that means we still have a good year and a half to go for altcoins to basically go through a trading range before it can eventually break out and start to give us that next bull market, which we have seen in the past. Basically waiting for this period here. This is where the fastest gains are made. This is where all of the hype and the scams, even bigger than the Peppy scam that we've recently seen now, I should say the Peppy pump. But at the end of the day, all these altcoins are basically scams. They're here to make more fiat, more stable coins, more Bitcoin, more ETH. At the end of the day, most of them basically die in the ass. So that's why I call them scams. Essentially, they're here to make more money. And you guys from the 2021 cycle, majority of you anyway, probably know that by now. You've seen all these altcoins pump up. The hopes and the dreams come and go to the wayside and basically dump 90%. Some of them will survive, but remember there's 20,000 coins. Unfortunately, not all of them are going to survive. That's just pure maths. The odds are not on the sides of most of these altcoins surviving. So when these opportunities come, these beautiful big pumps, take them with everything you got to make those huge gains that are promised, and then get the hell out of the altcoins. So the idea here is to measure the time. How long do these periods usually take? The first one here was 25 weeks. That's about 6 months. So you had a nice big pump for about 6 months. This is where the excitement happens. This is where the excitement finishes. Then you have another period from that June low to that next top, about 16 weeks. So basically 4 months. You can see the time frames get shorter and shorter. And throughout the bear market, there are many shorter pumps. They basically only last 2 to 4 weeks if we're lucky, maybe 6 weeks like it did in this little period here. And the pumps are a lot less. But unless you're watching a chart, the feeling could be the same at these periods. So always watch a chart and you can see that the moves get less and less and less. And what we're waiting for is that next big move up, because this is basically the range where the market is trying to decide, do we go to a new low or do we just keep churning around in this trading range with a few short alt seasons, and then obviously the rest is dying out and another dump to the downside. So taking a recap of that again, this is the accumulation area. This is basically what we want the chart to look like, this accumulation schematic. And right now we're looking like we're on the verge of another drop to the downside. So it looks pretty anemic at the moment. We never really got this big pump up like we did in 2019, but nothing has to repeat exactly the same. We did have that move. In terms of a timing, it's going to get a bit messy again, but having a look at that low to that current high, that was about 16 bars. So 16 weeks, 4 months. We take a look back to what we got last time. you can see from this higher low into the peak was about 21. So it was an extra month longer last time than what we've seen this time. But nonetheless, it's still around that time frame that we've been looking at. When we go back and have a look at the bull market tops here, this anemic run that was in the second half of the bull market was only about 16 weeks as well. So the big pump, 5-6 months, the next big pump about that 4-month period. So we've really seen that move basically come to an end for now. And the question is, do we go lower and keep bleeding out? Or do we hold out these levels and just continue to churn around for the next year and a half as we attempt to make higher lows and break past the resistance level and potentially start phase D of the Wyckoff? For now, we're still probably somewhere in this phase B, phase C, because we just did not break to the sign of strength. And instead, we've fallen to the downside. So I think I'll have to get rid of that, move these things over, move our phase A over, move our phase B, C, and then look for SOS like we saw in the previous cycle. It took quite some time until we got to that point for all of the cryptos. For the fear and greed index, we have put on a little more greed in the last couple of days, going from 48 to 50 to 54. We are still at lower highs. So this market is still resetting in terms of the market sentiment on the crypto fear and greed index. That's what we want to see in this market. We definitely need far more time at these levels and possibly a little more volatility. I still want to see it get back to 30 or 40. We've only been at the high 40s for now. So I think this is going to be that churn out like we talked about in yesterday's video for Bitcoin, where we could potentially be churning around over summer, maybe putting in some higher highs, but nothing that is really super exciting like what we saw in January and these big pumps in March. We'll wait and see, but this is not the start of this euphoric bull market. What we are in is this stage right here. And like we saw with Total 3, the stage is about 2 years. For Bitcoin, it's basically the same. We can go from the December low to the really exciting breakouts. This is the exciting breakout that captured the news attention through October, November, December of 2020. If you look back to that period, this is the time when the news headlines started to get involved with BTC. They didn't really want to know about it through this period. They started here and obviously more here, and this was basically where it was all over the news, the headlines for Bitcoin. So if that's the case, and we still have a lot more grinding to do for BTC and the altcoin market, which looks similar to our Wall Street cheat sheet, which we've been following for many of our altcoins here. You get this basically roll over and die until the depression kicks in, and then the disbelief for altcoins. Remember, 2 different markets here. Then we could say that we've got plenty more time here to sift out some of the crappier altcoins and look for the better stuff. There's obviously going to be some pumps and dumps in between. Pepe is a perfect example of that. Hopefully you guys made some killer gains on Pepe going from that low to the top, around 2,300% from this low here. But like we talked about in that recent video, this is a 4-hour chart just going back a week ago. This was put on the video there, this one here, Complacency. We can definitely see that this was now Complacency. Market broke down. Take it off log, you can see how severe these drops have been. And again, and again, and just look at that area right there. This is exactly the same thing that is happening over and over again, and people continue to hold the garbage all the way through. This is basically like a replica of the drop and the next drop, a little jump up, there's your jump, and then this is probably going to die out. And if it doesn't die out, it's basically going to be another little bit of a trading range for those who are still in. Just watch these particular levels and these next highs. If you're sitting on the sidelines and you haven't clicked that like and subscribe, let me know in the comments why. Hit the buttons down below, like, subscribe, supports the channel. And if you do want to get your free USDT, today's the last day here. Use those links in the video description. And if you do, you can have the opportunity to get into our free trading workshops. These are the strategies that we teach to our members, and these are also a couple of the free strategies which you see the results that I show you from our Discord group. So use these links. If you're with other accounts already, you have to go and use these particular links to get the free trading workshops. Those workshops will be released soon, and we'll let you know on our email. So do sign up right here. So moving over to Matic, as we can see from this video, this was basically waiting for the breakdown with the question mark. Guess what? A week later, we get the breakdown. That's because these are dead on their 50% level. Market is obviously in a bear market. You can see the complacency here, that bounce to a lower high. and then the market fades out. So this is basically Matic versus BTC. It's been unable to break into new highs against its Bitcoin value. It has been a fantastic mover in the 2021 bull market, but now it looks like we're going on a pretty significant distribution of Matic before we see lower prices against its BTC value. Remember that. The name of the game is to make huge gains and do it with as little risk as possible. And if you're able to do that with Bitcoin, do it with Bitcoin. We're waiting to see which altcoins are able to break out of these depressing zones. And for now, it looks like Matic is on the downtrend into the next depressing zone. The hold up here, maybe Matic can hold, is these levels right here. So watch the lows that formed in 2021 and the low that formed in 2022. If it's able to hold this zone, then it can continue to hold and put in a higher low, relatively speaking, to the previous lows and to this low, and potentially form a new base before it can move again. That's what Matic really needs at this point. But for now, it's been a fantastic shorters market, just like Solana has been as well. Complacency at the top, denial bounce, anxiety, hoping and waiting for this thing to come back. It never happened. Then you get the FTX collapse. Then you get a further collapse after FTX. And now this thing is basically going dead, which looks very similar to the Wall Street cheat sheet. Complacency at the top says anxiety, but I like to call this denial. I think it's more of a denial bounce. And then you get the anxiety. You start to freak out when this market doesn't go anywhere and it drops into panic and capitulation. There's your capitulation, and then the anger, and then basically the nothing and depression. So I think that is yet to come for a lot of these altcoins, which also makes sense when we look at the total cryptocurrency market cap excluding BTC and ETH, which we've just looked at, giving us that 2-year period of basically trading ranges. And we're just basically at the start of that for now. That's what we can start to see across the markets of the biggest traded cryptos like Matic, Solana, same sort of deal, Cardano, same sort of deal. But like I said, I've got one good one for you coming up in just a moment. Basically, Cardano, you can see the bottom to the bottom, 35 weeks. That was basically the Bitcoin bottom to when ADA against Bitcoin bottomed, sideways for 42 weeks, and then started to have a heartbeat again. So this is the current Bitcoin bottom. If we were to expect some further lows for ADA BTC, take it forward roughly 35 weeks, and then you get your depression. Maybe we'll see a heartbeat towards the later half of 2024 when all of these cycles start to come together. This is all marrying up well with Solana, with Matic, with the total cryptocurrency market cap. This is what we're expecting for altcoins, basically to go dead against their BTC values. We're not talking about USD value at this point. Good trading ranges, but if you're looking for long-term holds, we've still probably got this dead area to go for these cryptocurrencies. But one of the good news, maybe, is DeFi. Link, of course, is the big one here, Chainlink. And the move from the low to the high was 139 bars. So just short of 3 years going from this low to this top against Bitcoin, against its BTC value. You take it off log, you can see just how monstrous this move is. Putting it back onto log so we got some room to breathe here, you can see we're coming towards the end of another 139 week cycle. We're putting in a slightly higher low here, and it's sitting above some previous support levels. So potentially this one has the legs maybe to break out of the top, but it still hasn't given that signal yet. But if we look at where these cycles are at, the rest of these altcoins pretty dead, still waiting for that move to happen, whereas stuff in terms of Link is getting very close to that move at the moment. Now, the worry is if it breaks down from this low, then you have to extend this cycle out even further. If it breaks above and holds at this level, holds these lows, possibly looking at a good thing for the summer of 2023. So that's the worst case scenario. We've got a fair bit of time to go until 2024 against their BTC value. I've thrown in a good positive, good note value there. The good news is maybe DeFi, we get another DeFi summer like we got in 2020. But nonetheless, I think it's important to note where those resistance levels are, because even if we do get a bit of a pump, it might not be as big as what was once had with the old altcoins getting this massive pump up. You can see that with ADA. Each time it's pumped, it's become less and less. So I wouldn't expect anything different for many of these altcoins which have had a massive pump already. If we are to get that pump up, maybe it might only hit that 50% level, maybe even less than that. So stay aware of those chart levels, get in on those trades when the time comes. I've got some amazing interviews coming up with legendary traders from Twitter and YouTube, so don't go anywhere. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, peace out.